Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be going over your types of stages assignment. I'm going to be showing you how to get to your assignment and where you should be as far as your assignment. I am going to give you some information about the types of stages, and then I am going to walk you through how to answer your questions on your assignment. Let's get started. So in order to begin, you are going to need to access your Types of Stages Google form. This will be under the Classwork tab, and it will be labeled as Types of Stages. Once you click on that Google form, it will bring you to this page. Just to prep yourself for our lesson, go ahead and fill out your school email address, class period, and name. And then you can stop there for now. We will get to the rest of the assignment in just a few minutes. I am going to be showing a presentation to you guys. For this week, we will be using this presentation to learn about the types of stages, stage directions, and body positions. Today, we will just be talking about the types of stages, and we'll get into the rest of it later on in the week. We're going to be learning about the most common types of stages first, beginning with the most common. The most common stage, the stage you probably think of when you think of a stage, is a proscenium stage. And so, as I said, this is the most common, and it is this type of stage that we have here at McNair Middle School. The ancient Greeks are the ones who gave us what theater is today, and they are responsible for giving us the word proscenium. And so the word proscenium is kind of broken down into two parts. The word pro, which means in front of, and skene, which means scene. So the proscenium is in front of the scenery. And so in modern theater, in today's times, the proscenium is what helps to make up the fourth wall. The fourth wall is the invisible barrier that separates the stage, so the acting and the actors, from the people watching. And so you want to imagine the stage as kind of like a room with one wall removed, right? And so we still have the three walls on the side and then the invisible wall in the front. And so this frame, this invisible frame in front of the stage, is what we call the proscenium arch. And we call it a proscenium arch just because of its shape, right? An arch kind of has that round going over the top of something, right? And so we see that here, like with this red line. And so now we're going to give a quick overview of the different parts of the stage. And so when you're looking at this picture, you want to imagine that you are a bird flying over the top of the stage and you're looking down. And so first we're going to begin with the audience area. So outside of the stage, the audience area is called the house. And so the house is going to be broken up into three parts. The center, so the middle, right? That's always going to be center. House right, which is the right side, and house left. In larger theaters, such as like the Majestic Theater downtown, or even the stages at our high schools at like Legacy and Southwest High School, larger theaters might have an orchestra pit. So that is where any musicians who are playing music for the show, that's where they would be. Us at McNair, we do not have an orchestra pit. Our stage is in our cafeteria, and so we don't have that there. But we do have an apron. So an apron is going to be part of the stage that is in between the curtain line and the proscenium arch and the house. And so it's just extra space. Sometimes we do use that space, for acting purposes. And other times it just helps to create distance between the performers and the audience. The curtain line is going to be where that main front curtain is on the stage. And then we have our backstage areas. So when you're not on stage, you are backstage. And so all of this right here, if you look where my arrow is pointing, those are all backstage areas. Right wing, that's the right side, left wing, left side, and this is like where you would wait before you're going on stage. This backstage area, some people might wait there. You might keep extra, you know, props, big scenery, stuff like that back here in this area. And then we're gonna get to our areas of the stage. Now, we will go over these in more detail later on in the week, but just very quickly, if you're closer to the audience, that's gonna be a downstage area. Further away from the audience is called upstage. This side of the stage is stage right, and this side of the stage is stage left. So notice that when you are talking about your stage directions on the actual stage itself, they are going to be from the actor's point of view. That's why this is labeled as the right side and this is labeled as the left, because it's from this person's point of view. When you're on stage, you want to imagine your directions like you are the actor standing on stage looking at the audience. And so that will become more clear to you later in the week. Now we're going to look at kind of like a side view. So like this is like if you were in the backstage area, looking towards the center of the stage. So this is where our audience is. That main curtain, the big curtain that opens and closes in front of the stage for the audience to see, that is going to be called the grand drape. We have some smaller curtains. These usually only come out from the sides a little bit, and so those are called tormentors. And then these shorter curtains are called borders. Now, some prosceniums may have a backdrop. We at McNair do not. What we have is basically a full back curtain. And so in the back, you'll either see a backdrop or a back curtain. And so the back curtain is just a curtain that closes all the way so that nobody can see the backstage areas. And so what does a proscenium stage have that other stages do not? What makes it unique? What makes it different? And so really what that's going to be is the backstage areas on the sides, that main grand drape front curtain, the apron, right, which is the area on the stage between the grand drape and the audience, the orchestra pit, remember where the musicians go. And usually, if it's a proscenium, I mean, not usually, always when it's a proscenium, the audience is all going to be sitting on just one side. In a proscenium, they will always be in the front of the stage, the audience. You won't have any audience on the sides or in the backstage areas. Now we're going to move on to our second type of stage. And so the second type of stage is called a thrust stage. This kind of stage does not have a main front curtain. It does not have wings or an apron. A thrust stage will still use the same stage directions as a proscenium, and there will be a backstage area of some kind. And so let's go ahead and compare and contrast them, a proscenium to a thrust stage. So again, we already know these are the things that a proscenium has. It has the left and right backstage areas, the grand drape, the apron, the pit, audience seating on one side only. Both of them are going to have the same stage directions and a backstage and an audience. And a thrust by itself, what makes it really different from a proscenium is you will have audience on three sides of the stage. You will not have the backstage areas. You will not have a grand drape, no apron, and no pit. Our next type of stage is going to be called an arena stage. An arena stage, or sometimes called theater in the round, has audience on all type of stages. This one is kind of easy to remember because you can think of it the same way you would think of a sports arena. So the same way at a basketball game on TV or at a football game on TV, you'll see audience all around the field. That's the same idea for an arena stage. It's really common to see this with concerts or big events like that. And it can be any stage or any shape. So notice here how the stage is a rectangle and then here it's a square, but the audience is in a circle, right? And so just depending on what type of stage shape you have, that's going to depend how your audience can fit all the way around. And so when using stage directions for an arena stage, it's kind of up to the director how they want to divide it. Sometimes they will use compass directions, or sometimes they will divide it like a clock. And it just depends on what your director or your person in charge wants to do. And so now we're going to compare our main type of stage, proscenium style, to an arena. So as it's loading, think about that. What do arena stages have in common with prosceniums? So we already know a proscenium has the offstage areas, the curtains, apron, pit, audience on one side. And also, you can usually get really complex with your set. Let's talk about what they have in common. They have an acting area, which means a space for people to perform, and they have an audience. What makes it really different is audience is on all sides, not just one. There usually isn't a huge backstage area, no apron, no pit, no curtains. And when you're building your set, you have to think about, can people see what's going on from all directions? There can't be any big walls or big set pieces blocking everybody's view. And remember, stage directions for an arena stage will look like a clock or a map. So let's try and identify these kinds of stages. This one's a thrust. Why? Because we have audience on 3 sides. What kind is this one? It's another thrust. Audience again on 3 sides. And then notice the simple set. There's not a whole bunch going on. What about this one? This one is actually called a traverse. A traverse is when an audience is only on 2 sides. That one's just a bonus one. You don't really see that kind of stage too often. What about this one? It's a proscenium. Audience on one side and grand drape. What about this one? Notice the shape. Exactly, it's an arena. So remember, arena stages, audience all the way around. What about this one? Yep, it's a proscenium. Remember the proscenium arch, audience on one side. What about this one? Another traverse, bonus. What do you guys think? It's a proscenium. This one's a little bit fancier. This one has some of these like balcony seating areas, and yes, the seating is a bit more round, but it is still a proscenium because this kind of stage will have backstage areas, and so we still consider it a proscenium. And the audience is, even though they're in a round shape, they are all on one side. And so this is where we're going to stop for today in our presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and take you back to your types of stages assignment. So now what I want you to do, if you're watching this video, you don't need to watch this one. What you're going to do is you are going to go ahead and answer these questions yourself. This is just a check to see what you remember from my video. And so it's going to ask you some questions about the types of stages and the proscenium. And then you're going to identify these pictures. So based on the picture, sorry, I'm scrolling around quite a bit. Based on the picture, what kind of stage is it? Let us know. And so you're going to continue through your Google form and answer those questions. And then your final question, exit ticket, is going to be this last one. This is actually a question from our first week of theater. And so theater is what? Is it acting, storytelling, special effects, or performing? Once you're done and you've given me an answer for each question, you are going to click submit. And I will be able to grade your assignment, and I will count credit for today's assignment. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.